Hello, 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 and welcome back to the podcast. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you to all my dedicated listeners. I appreciate you. If you have not left a review, please do so. All right, guys, I did not do a podcast last week because it was insane. So we had a repeat Friday. I don't remember what we called it, but it was a repeat. So here I am, back at it, caught my breath, but we were in Cody, Wyoming, and we had a absolutely fantastic time at the seminar in Cody. Thank you for all of you that came to Cody. I appreciate it. We are going to be doing those again. I will be having one in Iowa for sure. I will be on the eastern side of Iowa. I do not know when. I am hoping that happens soon, but please watch for that one. And then while I'm in Iowa, I am thinking I'm probably going to hit South Dakota at some point as well because it's close. South Dakota, Montana, Minnesota, you guys are super close, so I can just do like a quick day or two trip and be back. Because obviously this is getting to be my super busy time of the year, but I want to get out and see you guys. Here's what happened in Cody. We had people drive 7 hours to come see me. We had people drive 3 hours, an hour and a half, just to A, check me out, right? Make sure that I'm legit. And then B, just hear about the message, because do we want to get away from the banks right now with interest rates the way they are? We all want to get away from the bank. So I will be around. I don't know when, but thank you all for coming to Cody. All right, today we are going to talk about family farms versus family business. And I did a little research today. Normally, you guys, I just turn on my mic and I talk, and you can probably hear that as I mumble through whatever it is I'm saying. But I have been seeing this a lot, and maybe it's just a couple people that I am following on TikTok, but I am seeing this a lot on TikTok. I see it on Facebook too. Farmers are genuinely talking about how we are not getting the farm soon enough. We are not, we're not getting this ability to farm. We can't do X, Y, and Z. And so I don't just work with farmers, right? I also work with business owners. And a lot of the times my farmers are business owners because you guys are doing multiple things. So let's put this into perspective. I've done a podcast before that are farmers special. And I'm going to sit here and say farmers are not any more special than any other business. Yes, there are certain things that farmers don't get as far as, hey, you know what? I'm going to take your livelihood as your collateral. That does not happen in any other industry. If I have a business, they're not taking my house and they're not taking the place I live on, right? With farmers, that happens. But when we talk about transitioning, there is nothing special that is happening with farmers that is not happening with business owners. So I did a little research because in my little noggin working with business owners, I am also seeing that. But people don't believe me, even though I talk to thousands of people. People don't believe me and they don't think I know anything, right? Because I haven't wrote this report and done all this stuff. So I have been seeing this a lot. Well, we're not getting it. It doesn't transition to us until we're 60. All this good stuff. The average age of a farmer right now is 65, I believe. They're in their 60s. So I did a little bit of research because I had heard somebody on TikTok say the average age that a farmer starts farming is 45 years old. And she said, that is pathetic. Well, if the average age that somebody is getting the farm is 45, I actually think that's pretty good because I have a lot of 45-year-olds that would be ecstatic to have the farm at 45. But look at this, you guys. The average age that a new business owner starts a business is 42 years old. 42. That is not even the average age of when these people are successful. The average age of a small business owner today is, let me look, 60 years old. 40% of small business owners are 65 plus years old. Wow. Wow. Isn't that the same as farmers? The average age of a farmer is over 65 as well. The average age of a small business owner is over 65. And while I was doing this research, I also found this. 43% of small business owners have no succession plan. I would say that that is higher with farmers, that there's no succession plan. Do they have the succession plan in their head that everything's going to be divided equally? Yes, absolutely. But think about that. 43%, that's almost 50% of small business owners don't have a succession plan. 30% will transition successfully to the second generation. Okay. 30%. 12% will go to the third generation, and only 3% will go to the fourth generation. That is not much different than the farming world. Those numbers are nearly the same. And that has to do with the fact that as a small business, farmers are a small business. You guys have heard me say that before. I will say it and say it and say it until the day I die. You guys are a small business. You have the same transition as a business in town. You have the same challenges that is the second generation paying attention. By the time we get to the fourth generation, have they lost? Have they lost what the first generation has brought to the table? How hard it was to get started, what that looked like. We are not carrying that on when we're talking about family discussion, because we're frankly not talking about family discussions. We don't have family transition talk. We don't have family business talk. If you listen to Jolene Brown talk ever anywhere, you will hear her say this. We need to sit down at the table and have a discussion of what is going on in the family. Farmers aren't doing it. Small business owners aren't doing it. I keep seeing this over and over and over, that farmers think that it is harder for them. If I am taking over a business in town, is it any harder? I have met with lots of business owners that are in family businesses, and guess what happens in town? The younger generation doesn't get to make the decisions. They're not running the business. Mom and dad are still writing the check. They're trying to grow the business and they can't grow it. They want to make changes and they can't make changes. All the same things, all the same frustrations. I met with a young couple last week. He has worked in dad's business, and immediately there is talk about, well, I don't know when I'm going to get to take it over. I don't know when dad is transitioning. I don't know what's going to happen with the siblings. I don't know if I'm going to have to buy Blue Sky. I don't know if I'm going to have to buy out the business. I don't know how the name transition is going to go. Those sound like all the same issues farmers have. And guess what? I gave him the same exact advice that I would have given anybody. You haven't worked in the business long enough. He is not that old. You have not worked in the business long enough. You've only been back for a short period of time. Just be quiet, put your head down and work. You are getting a fair wage. Okay? Now that is one thing. Let's talk about wages. That is one thing that does not happen in the farm industry. Is typically if the kid is working on the farm, there aren't wages to be shared, because mom and dad typically aren't taking wages. Because why? Mom and dad are not running it like a business. There are farms that are run like a business and the wages are there, right? Just like this guy. He's getting wages, but he is also getting his cell phone paid for by the business. He has a vehicle that his dad usually drives to the business appointments. But so he does not have to use his vehicle. And in the farming world, typically you get gas, right? You just go fill up out of the tank. You might be getting a place to live for free. You might be having internet. You might have electricity paid for. All of those things count. And even when my friend Jolene Brown sits down with families and figures out what's going on in the family business of farming, all of these things are taken into consideration. But the fact that somebody's not getting paid is because there's no payroll. Typically in town, there's going to be payroll because we are more of a legit business, right? But that doesn't mean that payroll is always going to be good, because are they running their business? Do they know their numbers? I just got off the phone or just get out of a meeting with somebody that said that, oh, I can be partners in this farm operation. And it's a farm operation where we can be partners 50%, but it's land that's leased from the other guy's dad. Well, what happens if that transition doesn't go well? Now I'm 50% owner in what? I said, does the guy know his books? And he's like, no, I asked him why he doesn't have a bookkeeper, and he never said anything. Oh, made all kinds of excuses, right? So do I want to go into business with that person? It's no different than some business owners I have. They don't know their books. They're just running a business, selling stuff, doing stuff, busy in the business, just like farmers are busy in their business. So I encourage you, before you say it's harder for us, understand the other businesses out there. Because believe me, when I started this and I started working with farmers, I truly thought farmers were absolutely 100% special. Nobody's business ran like them. They all had these problems, and it was only their problems. And in fact, that is not the case. I know that Damian Mason, who has the Business of Agriculture podcast, I think that's the name of his podcast, he talks about this as well. Because guess what? Damian also works with business owners. Jolene Brown. If you guys don't know who Jolene Brown is, you need to go look her up and see where she's going to be speaking close to you. Jolene Brown says the exact same thing. If you are a farm and you're not running it like a business, you should be, because she also works with business owners as well as farmers. And why do myself, Damian, Jolene, why do we all do that? Because they're run the same. It's just that farmers have been told it's special. And they've been given a pass to say, well, it's harder than most. Most businesses do not survive. Most startup businesses do not survive. I believe I just read 80% of them will be dead within the first 3 years. Gone. Is that any harder for farmers? It depends what business you start. That might be harder to start a business than start a farm operation. But you guys have heard me talk about this. The majority of my clients right now have started from scratch. I bet the majority of everybody I've seen in the last year has started from scratch. Doesn't mean they're big. Doesn't mean it's 5,000 acres. They might be small, but they're doing something and they're starting, and it's going to be hard for the first 3 to 5 years. Absolutely 100%. We're going to have to get creative. And even when I started my business, I had to get super creative because I didn't have the money to do it. I struggled to start my business just like a farmer would struggle to start a farm. You guys, I didn't have the money to print my book. I pre-sold books to have the money to pay the guy to develop the file for the book and print the books. I did not have the funds to do that. And I didn't want to put any more money on a credit card. So don't tell me that this is easy. When I had 6 figures of debt myself to start a business with nearly zero overhead. It is all perspective to the size of the business, what you're doing. I have a client that owns a crane company. A crane company. A crane is not inexpensive. If I remember correctly, he told me it was something near a few $100,000 just to get a crane to him. Just the transportation. His overhead is and operating is millions of dollars. It's construction. Does he know when he's going to be working? Does he know if he got the next gig? Everybody has risk. Nobody is getting it passed off any sooner, because I read another statistic that said 15% of business owners are staying longer. 15%. Because why? We have crazy inflation. We have a market that crashed. Their retirement is iota. It's a gonna, right? They have to stay working longer. The difference there is that a farmer's retirement is in their land. A business owner's retirement is typically in an IRA. Both of them took the risk. One of them figures he can retire because he planned on it. The other did not plan on it. And if a farmer is not planning for retirement, whose fault is that? Is it the farmers? Or is it just the industry and we're just going to blame it on the industry? At some point, we have to take personal responsibility. And I am certain that I am not making any friends in this podcast. And I may be losing some. You guys, I just want you to think about it. I just want you to think and challenge your thought process. Because we do not want to have the arrival syndrome. And believe me, I had it when I started working with farmers. And I now sit back and go, wow, these business owners have all the same challenges. That's crazy. I would have never thought. They do. Yes, there are some challenges to farming. And most of you are going to say, we sell it at wholesale. It's hard. You know what else was hard? Was COVID, when they shut down restaurants, when they shut down stores. How many small business owners went out of business? I know several that had to file bankruptcy, that went out of business because of COVID. That has never happened. Farmers don't know what they're going to be selling for. They don't know what their costs are going to be. And by golly, our businesses in town felt that as well. And they are now feeling that as well, right? Their products have gone up. Yes, they get to determine what they want to sell it for, but people determine if they're going to buy it. And if they can, when food has an 11% inflation since last year, do you think they're buying the gadget? Do you think they're going to go buy the TVs? No. Business owners are feeling that as well. Farmers have some protection on their prices. They can contract grain, right? They can hedge. They can do some of those things. The majority are not. So again, are there differences? Yes. Do people in town have challenges that farmers don't have? Yes. And vice versa. But we can complain and say that we're special, or we can put our head down and figure out how to solve the problem. You are a business. Run it like a business. And please, Stop justifying why you are not making money. And instead, take that time and energy and figure out how you can make money. Do you have to market your grain? Do you go to Ranching for Profit? Do you get some of the loans paid off and move that control back in? Do you start farming without the bank? What do you have to do to be profitable? Do you get rid of enterprises that don't make money? If you have multiple enterprises, Ranching for Profit talks about this. If you have multiple enterprises, if you are making hay, you have cattle, you have crops, you have a little business on the side, right? We have multiple enterprises. We have hogs, we have sheep. What are all those enterprises? If one of them is not making money, why do we keep doing it? If I have a business in town and I am selling multiple things and one of those is not selling, should I keep selling it? No. Locally, we have a Dick's Sporting Goods. It's the most awful store in town because we also have Scheels, right? For those of you that don't know, Scheels Sporting Goods is like a Cabela's, okay? But way better. Scheels has like everything you could want. You go into Dick's and we go in there and there's nobody in there. There's nobody in the parking lot. And we question, how are they keeping their doors open? And why are they still here? Why haven't they shut this one down? Because the other franchises are obviously keeping this one open, right? Or the other locations, I should say, because I don't believe it's a franchise. So the other locations are keeping this one open. How can they be? They're not making any money. They maybe have 3 employees working in an evening. You go to Scheels and you can't find a place in the parking lot. So we question that. How are they doing that? Why do they stay open? It's the same thing that I'm asking some farmers when I talk to them. Why are you still raising X, Y, and Z if it doesn't make any money? Why are you still doing that if it's not turning a profit? I mean, maybe Dick's doesn't see that they're losing money. I don't know. Maybe they want that store to lose money so the other stores that make money, it offsets them for taxes. That would make sense. So maybe you are making a ton of money over here and you need to lose it over there. I mean, I know a guy that I have some colleagues that they have a client, huge construction business, making a ton of money, and they have cattle. Well, they have cattle to lose money. Like that offsets some of the income. But just as I'm questioning Dick's Sporting Goods, I'm going to question a farmer as well because it's a business. I mean, I've probably said that 100 times already in this podcast. Think about it. If I have hit a nerve, why? Am I challenging your thought process? Before you just get all mad, and you probably already shut it off by now, but if you're still here and I hit a nerve, is it because you've thought that way and we just need to challenge your thought process? And you can tell me I'm wrong and you can email me and tell me I'm wrong, and I am 100% open to hearing it. But I've talked to thousands of people, and it's what I see. I'm just speaking from what I see. So let me know if you think I'm wrong. Email me, Mary Jo at Without the Bank. Yell at me, I don't care. Got yelled at already this week. I got big shoulders. I can handle it. And I'm not easily offended. So let me know if you guys have not gotten the book, Farming Without the Bank. I don't know what you're waiting for. Go do it. Get the book and the audio if you want. If you just buy the audio, it seems that you are not getting everything you need by listening. So if you are typically somebody that needs to read, get the book as well so that you can read it. You can look at all the graphs. For whatever reason, when people buy the audio, they don't look at the graphs. You get them with the audio. If you have not read Nelson's book, go ahead, buy Becoming Your Own Banker, get it as a bundle. And then set up your appointment to talk to me. I'm happy to help. But in the meantime, that's all I got for you today. You have a fantastic rest of your day.